Whether we are talking about life in general or in a long-term relationship, most people these days can continue to fail to understand the long and short-term consequences of their actions. Okay? So, this is what this stream is going to be about. You might think it's simple, but that's precisely why so many people fail to understand how their actions and reactions, cause and effect, causality, how it affects the world and themselves in the long run. So we're going to get straight into it, no worries. All right, so without further ado, let us start out with an example that you can just search on YouTube for the video. So this is the Merovingian. Why do I start out with some movie character? Well, he's not just anybody. I mean, he had an impact on my life among many other movies and shows and music and what people say. It's not just movies. I don't live my life watching movies and that's it. I mean, I have my own wisdom, my own sense of intelligence, so it's unique, it's original. That's why I wrote my own book and created my own online video course. So 1 hour of jeez. It's such a beautiful movie, what I call it, but it's really a 1 hour video course. It's so beautiful. You guys have no idea what you're missing out on. But, c'est la vie. Straight from the movie, The Matrix Reloaded, this scene involving the Merovingian is much more than what it seems. In my humble opinion, it's a perfect example of wisdom. In fact, I actually believe that he used to be the one, and he sold his soul. And he says, you know what? Just like Cypher in part 1, he just says, you know what, I'm going to just join the agents. Because what's worth fighting for? He even stopped loving Persephone, starts cheating on her, just power hungry. I think he's just drunk and living la vida loca, but he's in misery and he doesn't know it. You know. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about the movie The Matrix. I already did a movie review on all three, the trilogy. Not the fourth one, because that stuff doesn't exist. So, action, reaction, cause and effect, causality. This is, you drop a rock in a pond, whether it's a pebble or a stone, you either get a huge splash or you get some ripples. Sounds easy, right? Oh, mamma mia, it's called drama, and it's everywhere in this life. You have to weather the storm, put out the flames. You have to be the hero when nobody else is, everybody pulls out their cameras and they don't want to be the hero. They just want to be the observer. People are too shy, too weak, too scared, too everything that's negative or mediocre. And you have to be the one to step up to the plate. If you feel just like me, you would be eager to speak with me one-on-one and to rejoice the power of love together and say, you know what? I'm just as passionate as you are. I want to speak with you. I want to promote that stuff on my channel. That's what I want to see one day. But not here to force anybody to do what they don't want to do. You either feel it or you don't. That's how love works. So, what does causality have to do with life itself? Well, everything. Everything. In your relationships with friends, family, and of course, hopefully, a relationship long-term that you're involved in. Hopefully. Time's a ticking. Don't waste your life. Let's begin with the simple concept of cause and effect, which is what causality is, before we get into why most people are miserable these days. So this is going to be a different versus episode, I promise you. Cause and effect, according to psychologists. Cause and effect refers to the causal causal relationship between two events or things. In this relationship, the second event or thing is a result of the first. Sounds easy, right? This is why so many people fail. They make their lives more complicated than what they need to be. People panic. People feel anxious, nervous. Like, take a look at all the negative emotions and feelings that you can. They wouldn't exist if people understood this. Life is what you make it. And we're going to get into it. So let's see here. the idea that for every action there's a reaction. Once one domino is pushed, okay, the domino effect, we got it. You push one domino over. There's some really cool construction videos here on YouTube where they set up a bunch of bricks, just like dominoes, and then they push one over, and all of them fall into place. It's like, wow, genius. It really is genius. I don't know. I've never seen something like that before until recently. Like, that's not even modified video or edited. It's an actual real thing. So I encourage you guys to go look that up. I mean, it's just a sight to behold. So studying leads to good grades. Right. But a lot of people procrastinate. A lot of people don't take school seriously. What kind of effects do you think are going to come out of that? Those are negligent effects, right? Now I'm going to watch some cartoons first. I'm going to watch this, movie first. Oh, I don't care about good grades. Then you're not going to get that job, right? If good grades apply. Or you're not going to get into that college you want to get into. If good grades apply, right? But I mean, you can't just go around, repeating the obvious. It's supposed to be obvious, but you'd be surprised. Common sense is not so common these days. Insulting someone can lead to an argument. Yeah, of course. Right? But why do people go around and insult? They would even insult me for what I do. They'll be like, oh, look at this guy preaching about love and soulmates. I don't like him. I'm going to talk all this trash about... This is what trolls and losers do. And I've already been through it recently. This year and last year. And guess what? They eventually go away because... I mean, nobody can sustain that amount of hatred towards somebody trying to do the world good. That you'd have to be like the devil incarnate. Lack of sleep leads to a car accident. Yeah, so take breaks. Yet, we still have accidents where people don't take breaks. I gotta make it all in one trip. Are you nuts? You're putting your own life on the line and the lives of those driving, to and fro on the line too. They have babies or kids inside. They have women. Not that men are not important, but I mean, you care that little for something so basic? You never abandon principle. You must be disciplined because there are consequences. You let up just one bit, and it could be a life consequences, lifelong consequence. Like disabled forever, or somebody else gets disabled, or their life simply is destroyed. You just killed somebody, right? You'll say involuntarily, oh, it was an accident. No, it was you not being aware of the potential consequences that your careless actions caused. They created, right? So if you want to text in the car, guess what? That's a bad idea. Is it really that important? Because if it is, pull over, right? Nobody wants to hear this. So this is why we live in the world of chaos that we do. Lack of communication leads to misunderstandings. Of course. People just assume things about me without asking me first. I don't like the way he sounds. I don't like the words he says. I only know 2 or 3 things about him, so I'm just going to judge him because I only heard 2 or 3 things about him. Wow. That's a lot of intelligence right there. Not. Bullying leads to low self-esteem. That's what bullies are. The haters, the trolls. They have low self-esteem, so they have to become obsessed with somebody with high self-esteem, like myself, for example, and they have to try to bring you down. They'll try, but they're not going to succeed, obviously. But that's all they have. That's all they're about, and that's all there ever will be, sadly. That's all they ever will be. It's very sad, but to each their own. We're going to go over it a little bit. This is not a pointing out the obvious stream. This is reminding you how important causality really is. Action, reaction. How you react to certain actions that have been done. We'll get into each, almost every case, I think. I think I covered it all. So, I mean, this is beginning with the concept of cause and effect. Yeah, let's go ahead and move on. I mean, pride versus humility. This can be extracted from cause and effect, causality. Even when one knows the potential consequences of their actions, as I said before, many simply do it anyway, out of foolish pride. Learn to admit when you're wrong and move on with your life. And admit that you're placing somebody else's life in danger or in a situation that they shouldn't be in. Be considerate, right? Don't be using people and throwing them under the bus for your own benefit. The heck is that? There's no honor in that, but you meet a ton of dishonorable people online. But just be careful with the ones offline, because that's where it really matters. You know, the people who are capable of backstabbing you offline, that's the real danger. But, you know, pride can be a good thing if it's in a positive manner, like all things. Like fighting, self-defense. Yeah, you're fighting somebody, but you're doing it for a reason, to protect someone or to protect yourself. So that type of pride is acceptable. Otherwise, if you don't have the right kind of pride, then you're just going to let somebody beat up on you because you don't believe in violence. That's foolish. Sometimes you're forced to fight fire with fire. All right. You know, humility is concerned with what is right. I do agree with that, but it's also about being humble and caring for others, because other people can misinterpret what is right versus what is wrong. So they might commit evil acts and say, this is the right thing to do. Well, if it's a case of fighting fire with fire, okay, maybe it's justified. Every case is different. But pride isn't necessarily always concerned with who is right. It just depends if it's something worth fighting for in a self-defense scenario, whether verbal self-defense or physical self-defense. It could be justified. But foolish pride is what this should have in there. Foolish pride is, you know, you're doing something negative because you're miserable and full of hate and you're trying to bring other people down. That's foolish pride. So one can either live a life of negative consequences or a life with positive results. It's always up to you. You can't blame others for how you choose to handle any given situation. Accept responsibility for yourself. So, you want positive results, you got to earn them. So this is where haters and trolls, they don't want to do the hard work. They just want to sit there and complain and say, I'm a victim, give me money. Or, hey, you should support me because I like to take other people down with me. You literally have gangs online who behave this way. And the sad part is that they actually they convince others to follow them. Like a bunch of lemmings, mindless lemmings. It's really sad. But let's go ahead and move on here. I mean, results. You can't say negative results are something worth fighting for, something worth living for. Nobody wants negative results. And if you're causing somebody else negative results, just wait till it comes your turn, because karma does exist. I'm a strong believer that karma does exist. You can call it karma or whatever you want. Life has a way of bringing what you deserve back to you, good or bad. One reality that everyone must accept and hopefully never have to learn the hard way. Just because people change for the worse doesn't mean you have to as well. Always stand up for what you believe in, right? So you think you know people, then suddenly they change. This is 100% the case online for the most part. I would say maybe that's a little too harsh. Maybe 90-something% online. They support you today, they'll abandon you tomorrow. They say they care about you today, they'll be against you tomorrow. They'll join the hate train, the hate bus, the hate wagon. Easily, just because the majority of people do it. And it's, it's really sad but true, but not really sad, because in my case, it helps me filter out the losers from the potential winners, those even living a mediocre life who want to improve their lives. So I'm glad that these people expose themselves, because I'm like, oh, gotcha. I can just drop you from my online interactions. Perfect. Now I can fill in the spot with somebody who actually deserves that spot. So to me, the trolls and losers, once they explode, that's why I just block them. I'm like, no, tired of dancing around with you. Try to get you to snap out of it. You didn't want to snap out of it. Bye for life. That's a lifetime warranty right there. You've hereby been exiled. And the sad part is that they lack so much self-respect that they'll try to come back to me. Or they'll be bitter and argue about it. Like, what are you so upset about? Just because you got blocked by somebody who doesn't appreciate your negativity. You're really upset over your own negative behavior. I mean, so like I said, they dig their own graves, and it's a sight to behold. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on here. All right. So you cannot change the people around you, but you can change the people you choose to be around. Such a powerful thing to say here. So true. So true. See, there's no excuse here. If you're living with negative people or have recently ran into negative people, eliminate them completely from your life as soon as possible. Or these losers will never stop attempting to bring you down. That's the reality. It doesn't matter if you're your friends or family, online, offline. Don't try to change the people around you. Every mortal is responsible for their own destiny, how they behave. But you can change the people you choose to be around. So it's just like Rocky and the Rocky movies that I went over in my movie series. Movies about love. The Rocky trilogy. It says you hang out with coconuts, you'll become a coconut. That's what he told little Marie, right? Simple mathematics, he said. That's Rocky. All right, here's a co-host for the moment, Elvis Presley. I'm trying to keep a level head. You know to be careful out in the world. It's so easy to get turned. Yeah. Yeah, he knows what betrayal felt like. There will always be people, especially online, who will quickly turn their backs on you. Get used to it. The truth is loving and loyal people are hard to find. That's the hard truth. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, those who turn their backs on you, it's just it's like show me your ID. Okay, gotcha, good. Now I know not to trust you, because it's not about just you trusting me. It's about me trusting you. You don't deserve my trust because you betrayed me, and it's just too easy. It doesn't hurt my feelings. It just makes my efforts online that much easier. You see what I mean? So it's dealing with it in a positive light, because that means if they're capable of betraying you, nothing that comes out of their mouth is worth my time. Nothing's useful, nothing's positive, nothing's productive. So you have to disconnect completely if they're capable of betraying you that easily. Even if it's something to deal with somebody else and they end up taking their side, you're just as guilty of betrayal, because you're following without investigating first. You don't know the full picture. So yeah, judging a book by its cover, or just judging something with one or two cheap thoughts and you think you know it all when you don't. And like I said, this is fantastic, because those who truly care about me, they're going to stick around. And unfortunately, even offline, it's the same way. People have lives to live of their own, but really appreciate and be grateful for those who stick around, because you can only count as many friends as you truly have on one hand. Maybe 5 max. Everybody else is maybe a good acquaintance, but that's as far as it'll go. Your true friends, the ones who are going to always answer your call for help or assistance or support, whatever it is, they're going to be on one hand that you can count on. I don't believe people who say, oh, I got 10 friends. You probably have only 2 real friends out of those hands you're putting up, and the rest of the 8 are, they're on your good side for now. So I'm not saying don't trust anyone. I really don't like that. I'm just saying be careful who you trust. All right. Let's move on to another quote from Elvis Presley. People think you're crazy, and if you talk about things they don't understand. Yeah, and that's why when I speak of perfection and soulmates, everybody who criticizes those words has no idea what they truly mean. That's why they're going to say, oh, I don't care what your book has to say. I don't care what your movie video course has to say. I'm like, I don't care what you have to say. Because I know my work. I know the true value of it and how it's actually helped many people already. You don't know the value, so it's easy for you to say because you have no idea, no understanding. I don't know who raised you, but my parents raised me to be curious and to find things out for myself, not to judge things by their cover and say, oh, I'm going to walk up to this professor and say he has nothing good to teach. You haven't even been in one of their classes. How would you know? And it's just, it's absolute ignorance is what it is to say something like that, to judge something that you haven't even tried. You know, to claim something doesn't work and you didn't even try it. That's just ignorance. It would be, sucks to be you. That pretty much sums it up. So many people out there think they understand what love is all about, is what it's all about, and how to love others. But I know that they don't because of the chaotic world we currently live in. Yeah, that's how you know that they don't, because they'll say the stupidest things and you'll be like, yeah, I don't think, like love doesn't exist or soulmates don't exist. Please get out of my way. You're not worth my time. I only have so much, so many moments of my life to live. I no time for you. No time for losers. That's my pet peeve. My pet peeve is out of my way. If you're not here to be productive, constructive, out of my way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. People obsessed with how many subscribers they have, how many views they have, how much money they have. It's all just meaningless numbers in the end. It's all about what you have to offer others. Elvis Presley says it's not how much you have that makes people look up to you. It's who you are. And that's what this channel is all about. I don't need 1 million subscribers to spread a powerful message. And we're just getting started. I had this account since 2021 or something? I mean, I just created the YouTube account because I knew I was going to need it later on. And that's actually when I started writing my book. So I just had the YouTube account to leave comments on other people's. I didn't have any content yet for this channel. So, but ignorant people come over and they're like, wow, you've been online since 2021. I'm like, no, buddy, I've been online since 2007 when YouTube first began. It wasn't even owned by Google yet. And I had multiple accounts. I didn't have any content, but because I was in the army, I did some funny content, YouTube funny videos with movies, but got struck down for copyrights because, using movie footage. That's another topic, But now that I have things to teach and I created a new channel, you're always going to have those ignorant people come over and assume things that are obviously not the truth. So, to deal with them is, it is time wasting, but sometimes you got to set the record straight and be like, actually, you're wrong and here's the truth. And of course they're going to complain about it because they know they're wrong. All right. So, don't be obsessed with numbers like, oh, I have this many subscribers. And then, because I've seen channels with tens of thousands of subscribers and they barely have anybody watching anymore. Over 1 million subscribers and they barely have anybody watching anymore. To each their own. That's their own situations. But that's not what counts. It's consistency is key. So if you're obsessed with numbers, I'm not obsessed with numbers. I'm obsessed with touching people's hearts and lives and their soul if I can. So, all right, another quote from Elvis here. When things go wrong, don't go with them. Absolutely. Throwing out the baby with the bathwater. If somebody tosses out whichever, don't go making a bad situation worse. So, exactly. Making a bad situation worse. It kind of sums this up. It's better to wait for the right time to act or react. Otherwise, you'll end up taking 2 steps backward versus taking 1 step forward, in my humble opinion. So, maybe now is not the right time to react to something. Just take your time and be like, okay, how should I deal with this situation? It doesn't matter if it's online or offline situation. You just think about it first, because you could make a mistake by making a hasty response or reaction. Always think before you act, pretty much. We're talking about causality here. Action, reaction, cause and effect. The world might see you as just a pawn, but it's up to you to prove to yourself that you're not. That's all that ultimately matters. The eyes can be deceiving. Always follow your heart, your feelings. Follow your feelings, right? So here you see a pawn that's really a king. It's not acting like someone, it's really feeling it, right? It doesn't matter how others see you. If they see you as a pawn, maybe you could be a pawn today and a king tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that the ignorant, evil people out there won't just demote you to pawn in their eyes, and you still feel like a king. So just be careful, like who you hang out with, right? You want to hang out with the intelligent ones, not the ignorant, lazy, negative ones who are in self-destruct mode, spinning themselves around like a Tasmanian devil, going nowhere until they ran into a tree. I mean, you don't want to hang out with those losers. This is what you want to be in a world of pawns anyways, because everybody's a pawn. Even the rich people are pawns. They just don't know it. They're in a position of king, queen, and bishop, and knight, and rook, but for how long? That spot can be easily taken away from them. There's been a lot of millionaires who have been quickly humbled when they lose it all. And then they're like, oh my goodness, now I'm just a pawn. Yeah, because you didn't learn anything in life. You thought money was everything. You thought the number of subscribers you have is everything. The number of views is everything. No, that's not what everything isn't about in life, buddy. And I feel very sorry for you if you think that's what it is. The number of money in your bank account. If anything, life is about survival on one part, but the rest of the part, 90% of the equation, I'd say, 10% survival, 90% is all about love, wisdom, intelligence, everything, all the positive things you can imagine put together. So, yeah. Many people are going to want to fight you, debate you, argue with you to no end. These are the evil ones, the useless, the life wasters, the losers. Don't become one of them. So this kind of reinforces that whole pawn mentality when you're actually a king in disguise. It's not important for the rest of the world to know how powerful you are. Let them imagine. Like one day I will reveal myself online. I will. I'll have videos on martial arts, bodybuilding, and whatever future projects I have. But not right now. I want people to focus on my work, strictly on my work, until the time comes. But that's my decision. And I respect other people's decisions as well. I'm like, okay, whenever you're ready, or if you ever want to. There's many people that they don't need that for their channels. I respect that. You don't have to show yourself for whatever reason. That's fine. Because in the end, your voice is the most powerful thing anyways. I could watch a podcast where they're actually two people being filmed, or people who just turn on the camera and start speaking. I don't really need to look at you. I can tell the type of person you are by your voice alone. You can feel the emotions within the voice, either positive or negative, either ignorant or intelligent. So that should be enough. But unfortunately, a lot of people out there, their eyes deceive them. And then they don't really appreciate it anyways. When you finally do show them, they're like, I prefer not seeing you, or they're going to have haters everywhere. It's a really mixed bag. You don't know how people are going to react anyways, but you don't really gain that much. Unless you're doing like a fitness channel and you want to give examples yourself instead of showing examples with other people. To each their own. So, let's see here. Yes, I already went over that. Let's go ahead and move on. Sometimes we have to multitask, skip a step, and come back to it later. Whatever your decision is, always make sure it's a productive one. One step closer to what you truly desire. A little bit of hopscotch here. So, how come as kids we're taught how to do this? Sometimes you gotta hop your way to victory, but lots of people, they're stuck at one. They can't even jump to one. They can't stand on one leg. They're too lazy. They're too out of shape. They don't have any confidence to make it all the way to 10. I mean, something as simple as hopscotch. It's not simple for everybody. My point here being, go through the necessary steps to become successful for yourself. Don't look at other people and get all jealous and envious and try to bring them down. Where's your hopscotch? What are you up to as far as productivity? Nothing? Oh, no wonder you're a troll or a hater. You have nothing on your channel, nothing positive to offer to the rest of the world. And of course you're going to give the excuse, I'm not a content producer. Well, here you are trying to make other people's lives miserable. That's what you do with your time? I mean, I've seen trolls and miserable losers. They're obsessed, each and every single day. And I'm like, I can tell you have no life offline. Because you're jumping online with like 10 different accounts to try to make other people miserable. That to me is beyond hilarious because it tells me everything I need to know about you. So it's easier for me to block than it is for them to create new accounts. I push one or two buttons, they have to spend 15 minutes to create a new account or longer. So I win, you lose. This applies to everybody out there, by the way. Now, offline, you might have to get a restraining order or deal with it yourself or call the police or whatever. I get it. But, this applies to life in general. Sometimes you have to skip or don't do it with both feet. Sometimes you have to stand on one leg, but only when it's worth it, the extra effort. Some people say bend over backwards. Yeah, a lot of people exaggerate with that saying, but some people actually do. They do whatever it takes. Like, I offer free one-on-one sessions with someone. Just jump on my Discord server. But if you prefer another means of communication, go ahead. There's a plethora. There's a lot of different ways to communicate. To each their own. I'll respect your decision, but the most important thing is you want to communicate with someone because you feel the need to. That's positive. If you're too scared, that's negative because you're missing out on an opportunity. If not with me, then with somebody else at least, right? Or with your mom or dad or brother or sister if they really love you, or your best friend, whoever it is. Jeez, just go ask somebody for help. There's no shame in asking for help. All right. In this crazy life, you are either positive or negative. And I had this in this series, Versus. There is an episode called Positivity versus Negativity. Be sure to check that one out. Sometimes you're forced to fight fire with fire. But always return, so long as you always return back to your calm, relaxed, and focused center. So if you have to fight fire with fire, don't remain in that mode, that situation for too long, because it could affect you negatively. Deal with the problem and get out of it as soon as possible so you don't have to deal with it any further. Then you can go back to your positivity, your positive life that you were living previously, hopefully. Now, for the negative people who choose to be negative, there's nothing we can help them with. No amount of help will ever change their mind of anything. You gotta leave them behind. They're in the quicksand. And so if you go in the quicksand with them, you're gonna sink with them. You can't help a lost cause. I think that pretty much sums it up. Let the negative people, the negative, hopeless people, mindlessly and ignorantly burn themselves into oblivion. There you go. For they know not the consequences of their own foolish, self-destructive behavior. You must realize that. I don't care if it's a family member, a friend, a best friend, or the person that you consider as your potential soulmate. Suddenly they just go bipolar on you, psychotic on you, abusive on you. This is the moment of truth. This is where it's all about contingency planning. Are you prepared for these emergencies that could happen? Are you ready to do what it takes to deal with that situation? It's gonna hurt. So I'm just saying, be prepared for anything, but don't be paranoid about it. And don't start saying, it's gonna happen, because that's like I forgot what you call that, when you keep saying something's gonna happen and then it finally happens. That's not a good way of living. That's actually a dangerous way of living, because it's almost like you make it happen. So never do that. There's people who actually do that. It's pretty sad. It's a form of destructive behavior. All right, let's go ahead and move on here. Consequences. Yes. Causality, cause and effect, action, reaction. Has everything to do with consequences. Losers never pay any attention to the consequences of their destructive actions. Winners are always one step ahead, fully anticipating what their gullible enemies may do next. Yes, that's why I showed the chess game. You always got to be 1 or 2 steps. I'm usually 3 steps ahead. I take great pride in it. And the losers out there, they're like, "Oh, I'm so smart." I'm like, watch, he's gonna do this next. Boom. It's like playing, it's like playing fetch with the dog. Here we go. Here, go fetch. Okay, here, go fetch. Works every time. They want that bone. You give him the bone. Give a dog a bone. They call it feeding the trolls, but when you're always 3 steps ahead, it's child's play. It's like stealing, candy from a child. Don't do that, by the way. So, yeah, just gullible enemies in this life. They're always that's the good news. Anybody self-destructive and who wants to try to bring others down, they're too easy to predict. You're like, okay, what's your problem, right? And then you're like, okay, they did this, so this is what's logically going to happen next. And sometimes they surprise you, but it's the same spiel. It's the same thing. Oh, okay, that was a little bit more creative, but basically you just did this, the next step that I already expected. It's like I said, it's too easy. And they're over there laughing, pretending as if they have the upper hand. And I'm like, no, you don't. You need to look in a mirror. And they'll even try to like fight me, and then it ends up falling back on them. Like, it's like watching Tom and Jerry, or the Roadrunner and Coyote. Coyote always gets blown up, So I'm over here as a Roadrunner. So it's just it's hilarious, but yeah. So problem and solution. Always be a problem solver, not a troublemaker. It starts right here, right now. Either you're here to help, or you're here to be useless, or attempt to drag others down with you in your own misery. Offline. So, yeah, problem solution, it might not be your problem today, but it could be your problem tomorrow. So help others. Help others with a possible solution. Be suggestive. Say, hey, it's none of my business, or I don't know exactly how you must feel, but if you need my help, I'm here to help, right? You see, that's what counts right there. The attitude. Are you a helpful person, or you're just a careless person? I don't care. That's your problem, not mine. That's pretty selfish. I mean, we just went over the movie with Jet Li, Fearless. Selfless honor, right? It's all about attitude, especially that person that you choose to be with for the rest of your life. They better not have any of this negative stuff in this stream. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. Don't even use the word soulmates. It's not going to happen. All right, so strength and weakness. I'm a big fan of strength, if you haven't noticed. Your actions in life can either strengthen yourself and others or cause our world to be weakened further than what it already is. So choose wisely, please. Our world already has tons of weakness, and so many forms of it, it's pathetic. And what is it? Laziness, negative thoughts, trolls and losers, gangster wannabes, circus performers and circus hosts. I mean, it's the list is really the ignorant, the docile, the hypocrites. I mean, the list is so long. I can come up with a big list for both of these categories. Examples of strength, examples of weakness, positive and negative emotions, feelings, everything. It's your choice, man. I'm just here to help, so don't blame me. Don't try to criticize me and what I've accomplished and what I'm continuing to accomplish. The problems are yours. I mean, if you want me to try to help you solve them, I'm here. But not with a negative attitude. Not everyone in this life, by the way, was raised to be a respectable, loving, caring, positive, productive, wise, intelligent, brave individual. That's why those of us who are must try our best to teach them how. I'm not your father or mother, but if you put me in a position to give you a good word or two, you're going to get those good words. And then from there, you're out of here. If you don't want to be all of those beautiful words I just said, then you and I have no business speaking to each other. And your relationship, and I don't care if it's a family relationship, friendship, or long-term relationship, if your partner or any loved one wants to use you as a punching bag or to complain all the time without solutions, you're in the wrong relationship. Sometimes you have to excommunicate your own family members if they're toxic, your friends if they're toxic, and of course, if you're with the wrong person and you eventually find out the hard way that you chose poorly. Because in order to become soulmates, you need two individuals who have to go the entire journey together. I'm talking about beyond, it's eternity. You think that's going to be easy? You think you're going to find them just around the corner? No. So, talk to people who have successful relationships, like myself. I'll help you. But if you want to be skeptical, if you want to be scared, then you're on your own. I just hope you ask somebody else down the road when you finally realize that you might need help. And it's okay to ask for help. It's okay. It's like getting a financial loan, hopefully not too much interest, that'll get you out of a financial problem. And you just desperately need a loan. Sometimes it's a good decision. Sometimes it's a bad one. You know, it depends how much in debt you are. But if you don't speak to a financial advisor, that's why we have accountants, advisors, coaches, not just for sports, but life coaches like myself. Yes, it's a real career. We've always had life coaches if you look at it. I mean, mentorship. This is mentorship. Experience teaching others who request it, not those who are doubtful or ignorant and just want to act like a clown. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm here for. So even children behave better than that. So I leave the clowns, let them go bye-bye. So yeah, not everybody had a decent upbringing is what I'm saying. But you're not here to be their mother or father either. They want you to. That's why they'll cling on to you and be like, no, you have to hear why I'm so upset with who you are and what you did. And I'm like, dude, I'm not your mom or dad. You need to go get a life. Seriously. Grow up. All right, let's move on here. Yeah, so in the end, let's go ahead and fix this bad boy. Causality, cause and effect, action reaction, problem solution, positivity negativity, good evil, intelligent ignorant. The choice is yours.